Hello everyone, my name is Natalie Ledwell and this is The Inspiration Show. Today on the show we have a gentleman that does not need an introduction. If you have had anything to do with personal development over the last 50 years, then you have heard of the name Bob Proctor. So it's a pleasure to have Bob again here on the show. How are you, Bob?
I'm doing great, Natalie. It's good to be here with you.
Yeah, now the reason that we have you here again is because you have just written releasing a new book. That is coming out very soon. We're going to go a little bit more into that in the interview today. But the book that you've written is called The ABCs of Success. And to be honest with you, it looks like it's an encyclopedia or a Bible of exactly how someone can create success in their life. And, you know, of course, you are someone who is an absolute model of that. So tell me, what was the motivation behind you writing the book?
Well, I experienced a phenomenal change in my own life many, many years ago. And in a matter of 5 years, I went from struggling, not knowing which end was up, to earning over $1 million a year. And if somebody had asked me what I was doing, I really couldn't tell them. I was in an office cleaning business. I was cleaning floors. That's what I would have said. But I was cleaning floors in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. I mean, the company was very successful. But if you ask me why, I really didn't know. And I started to think about it, and I thought, you know, I've been raised to believe that if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. Well, I never considered myself being that smart, but I was earning quite a bit of money. I had been raised to believe that if you don't go to school, you will never get a good job. Well, I never went to school. I mean, I wasn't a good student. I was just a kid that didn't want to accept any responsibility. So after 2 months in high school, I left and went to work. I didn't have a good job. I owned the company. And so I started to question a lot of the things that I had been taught. And I couldn't really figure out why I was winning. It took me about 9.5 years to connect the dots. I learned an awful lot in that 9.5 years, and I've used a lot of the things that I've learned. But I discovered a lot of things that, you know, they're simple concepts that make an enormous difference. And that's what the ABCs of success is about. It is like an encyclopedia in a way. It's broken into categories, and there's any number of great ideas. And it's a kind of a book where a person can open it and read a page, page and a half, and they've got a brand new idea in their mind. So it's more of a mental stimulant than anything. And it provokes people to question why they're doing what they're doing. It provokes people to really question their own belief system. Because most of our beliefs, Natalie, are pretty ridiculous.
Yes, isn't that the truth? We have this whole belief system about who we are, you know, what's true for us, how different, like, successful should show up for us. And for most of us, our beliefs seem to be working against us. You know, for example, you know, that money doesn't grow on trees and that rich people are bad. And those kind of beliefs really do hold us back. So you're right. We have this programming that's really working against us. Now,
the crazy part about the belief system, I think when a person starts to analyze their beliefs, as I did for a long period of time, trying to figure out why I was winning, I realized we don't even originate our beliefs. We inherit them. We're given them as little children. So our belief system was originated many years ago, and it's been passed down from one generation to the next. And it's only every now and then that somebody says, wait a minute, and they start questioning them. I believe you and Glenn did that. I think I've listened to how you've started so many times. And I think most people that win at some point have done that. They have stopped and really asked themselves, wait a minute, why do I believe that?
absolutely. No, that's exactly what we did. Now, in the ABCs of Success, you cover 67 different topics.
That's right.
That's why I, referenced it as an encyclopedia, because I think you've left no stone unturned, which is awesome. So, and I also believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, that this is the type of book for someone who is coming across maybe personal development or success principles for the first time. And this seems to be like a very comprehensive cover of all of the principles for them.
Actually, yeah, it would be very, very appropriate for somebody like that. But I think it's a good book for people like ourselves. I'll tell you, I just recorded it. It took me 2 days to record the whole book. And when the publisher asked me to do it, I wasn't really too keen on doing it, but I thought, I don't want somebody else to do it, so I said, okay, I do it. And I went in, and I really enjoyed recording it. And reading it all, even though I wrote it, it was stimulating ideas in my own mind. So I think the book is really appropriate for almost anyone. And it provokes you to stop and look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
And really question, why am I doing this?
Yeah, no, I love it. And the thing is too, like, we all need a reminder. Like, I believe that personal development is a lifelong process. And even though we may know something, we may not be applying it every single time. But reading a book like this will actually help us to remind us of how we can apply that in a certain situation, especially if it's something that's relevant to us right now. Now, I know that some of the topics that you've covered are things like, winning, effectiveness. Tell us a couple of the most, not the most important, because I think they're all important, but some of the, the principles that kind of stand out for you that you think would really help people that are listening to this interview.
Well, we cover fear. I'm just touching on the F categories: fear, focus, freedom, faith. I mean, these are very important areas. If a person doesn't focus, they're all over the place. Our energy, we direct our energy. And if we're not focused, the energy is going all over the place. I often use an example for focus. If we took and got into a really fairly large room, and we stood on one side, and we know there's a sign on the wall on the other side of the room, and we light a candle, we probably won't be able to see that sign. But if we took the same candle power and put it in a flashlight and aimed the flashlight at the wall, we'd be able to read the sign. Because on a candle, the light's going all over the place. With a flashlight, it's focused. And so we cover areas like that. We talk about fear. Fear can be a good thing. It can also be a bad thing. So I think it's good to understand what fear is all about. It can be caution. It can also be a barricade. And I think we have to understand it. And I think we have to start to question our fears. We talk about direction, decision and direction. If a person doesn't learn how to make a decision, I think they're sunk. I think you need to make a decision. You have to have direction. So you get into all these different ideas. It is like an encyclopedia of ideas. We get into individualism. I was talking to Liz Edlick. She has a book coming out called Radical, and she has a cosmetic company called Radical. And she said, what do you think it takes to be radical? I said, I think you have to be an individual. And I think if you're going to win, you have to be an individual. You cannot follow the crowd. And so that's what the ABCs of Success does. It leads you into looking at things from a totally different perspective than maybe the masses are doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the fact that you talk about fear, because don't you think that successful people use fear? Don't you think it's like a measurement that we're actually moving forward in life?
Oh, well, when I set a goal, if it doesn't scare me, I know it's not much good.
Right.
So, yeah, we do use fear. If we, first of all, we have to think. We have to really stop and ask ourselves, why am I afraid? Well, we're generally afraid because we're going where we've never been. And let's face it, why do you want to go where you have been? why do you want to repeat performance? Life is a rather short trip when you take a look at it objectively. And so I want to be exploring new ground all the time. And I always say, if your goals don't scare and excite you at the same time, it scares you because you've never been there. It excites you because you want to go there.
Yeah.
But they're opposing forces, you know.
Yeah. I think too with fear is as long as we're moving forward, I think if we stand in one spot, then it can immobilize us. And then we start to imagine all the things that can go wrong. But if we keep moving forward, then I think that it really helps the fear to dissipate.
Well, there's no question about it. I mean, it's pretty well known now, face the thing you fear and fear will leave you. You really have to look fear right in the eye. You can't afford to let fear stop you in your tracks. You're just not going to win.
Yeah. And, you know, and focus is also something that I must admit I'm guilty of being, you know, sidetracked by the shiny object. So what's something that I could use, or that someone listening to this interview could use, that could help them to focus more sharply on the direction they're meant to be moving in?
When you get into focus, what you're really doing is getting into utilizing or developing one of your mental faculties. We have perception, the will, memory, imagination, intuition. Well, the will is the mental faculty that you use to focus. Now, if you don't develop the will, then focus is sort of a lost cause. You focus for a minute, or it wouldn't even last a minute, seconds, and you're off somewhere else. But I was teaching a golf pro that was on the tour, and I said, listen, take your pen, put a little dot on the wall opposite your favorite chair, and then concentrate on that dot. When you find your mind wander, bring it right back to the dot. Now, I said, when you can focus on one thing, you can focus on anything, because what you're doing is strengthening a mental muscle called the will. That's what Wernher von Braun, when Kennedy asked him what it would take to build a rocket that would carry a man to the moon, he said the will to do it. In other words, you've got to focus on what it is you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I know that one of the subjects you also cover is winning. So this is interesting because I'd like to get your take on this. Like, is winning necessary? Can you be such? Is there such a thing as a bad winner? Like, how do you look at the winning when it comes to our life principles?
Well, I don't think winning where I'm beating you or you're beating me. I see winning is when I beat myself.
Right.
I walk a couple of miles every morning. I get up, I go for a walk, and I've got it all marked out, and I keep time. And this morning I took 1.5 minutes off my time in 2 miles. I was winning. So you see, I think you're playing against yourself all the time. I think what you're really playing against is your paradigm, because you're programmed to live a certain way. And when you break that way, you break the paradigm, you've added a little freedom to your life. So I think when you talk about winning, that's really where it's at.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. I mean, I think that competition is not really the space in which we're moving into. I think collaboration is really, you know, the way that we're working together. Yeah.
No question. Amateurs compete with people. Pros really compete with themselves. And it is cooperation, collaboration. It's working together. And I think as you start working together, you start winning. You see, we need a team. In the business we're in, you and me, if we don't work together, we're not going to go anywhere. And as a result, there's a great team of people work together in this business. Now, not only do the people win by working together, there's millions more that get help. You know. Yeah. So I think everybody's helping each other all the time.
Yeah. I know that's, you know, I talk about this amazing bubble that we've been able to create. Not only do we get to connect with people all over the world and help them with the message that we have, but we get to collaborate with people like yourself. So we're all helping each other and sharing ideas and helping each other get this message out, which I think is awesome, which is obviously part of what we're doing. So.
Well, you get enjoyment out of watching the other person grow too. Like I've watched you build your business, and it's been a nice experience watching it. Because I remember back right around the time you started. Like, I feel like I've been in this business forever. I don't know if there's anybody in the business been in it longer than me. now. Jim Rohn and I started about the same time. And you know a strange thing, Natalie? I only met Jim Rohn once.
Wow.
And we were in the business for 50 years. And I met him once. The company hired the both of us to work together on a job. We were like thieves in the night. He'd be going one way, I'd be going the other. So you don't see a lot of people in the business. I think you have respect for what they're doing. They have respect for what you're doing, but you know.
Yeah. No, it's definitely an amazing time, and I think that, you know, the time for your book to come out is also like just perfect timing. I don't know if you've experienced this, but I found that in our business there just seems to be more and more people who are seeking this information. It's in this, you know, everyone's. It's not a sense of urgency, but everyone all of a sudden seems to be very interested in and realizing that they have influence over the outcomes in their life. And with knowing some of the principles like you know, covering in your book, they can really help to very positively influence where they end up in their lifetime.
You know, I think The Secret probably did as much for this industry as anything. Rhonda Byrne did a phenomenal job. It's apparently impacted the life one way or another of 500 million people. And it's all over the world. If I go into Shanghai or Kosovo or in Buenos Aires, you know, people have been impacted by that. And it's caused people to stop and think and look at what they're doing, you know. I just received a copy of the book today. This is the first time I've had a copy of it. So
awesome.
I just got it from the publisher today, ABCs of Success. So I'm looking at it here. You know, they've under P's, you've got potential, preparation, problem solving, professionalism, progress, public speaking. R's, relationship, risk, sales, self-image, self-knowledge. It is like an encyclopedia. I never thought of it that way until you said it, but they're subjects that in searching, trying to find out why I change, I discovered so many things.
Yeah. Well, Bob, you are a master teacher, and you have always had a gift of being able to break things down into a way that's very easy for people to apply. So I'm looking forward to reading the book and going through and reminding myself as well. So where can we send people if they want to purchase the book? I know it's not available quite yet, but where can we send them so they can
go to Amazon?
Yep.
You can go to Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any of the big book suppliers. It's carried everywhere.
Right.
It hasn't even hit the street yet, and I think it's an international bestseller already.
Yeah.
It's in the top 100 of the books worldwide. So it's starting to grow, and it isn't even out yet. So anybody, they can go to Amazon or any of the places, and I hope they enjoy it.
Yeah. And actually, if you click on the banner to the side if you're watching this online, or the banner underneath if you're watching this on the app, it'll actually take you through to Bob's website, so that not only can you pre-purchase the book, but then there's a whole bunch of bonuses and things that you're adding in to sweeten the deal, so to make it really worthwhile for people. So thanks again, Bob, for joining me today. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure, Natalie. Thanks very much for having me on the show. And congratulations on your show, on your success.
Oh. Thank you, thank you. So guys, I encourage you to share this video. You can do that by clicking the Facebook and the Twitter share buttons on this page, and make sure that you leave your email on the box so I can send you the Manifesting with the Masters, valued at $87, and I'll send it to you for free. So until next time, remember to live large, choose courageously, and love without limits. We'll see you soon.